Good evening. Welcome back to Expert Insights. We are on the second portion of tonight's episode, Creative Expressions and Creative Investments. And my second guest today, also slightly American, but a little bit more Swiss than my first guest. His name is Nicolas Egger. Seems like I have very unique names tonight. I had Mr. Buzz Walker teach, and I have Nicolas Egger. So Nicolas Egger is pretty new to this country, and he's going to tell us about how to invest creatively. Whatever we have left in this world, how do we invest it creatively? Mr. Nicolas Egger, welcome to Expert Insights.
Thank you. Pleasure to be here. Well, to be creative nowadays is very challenging.
Okay.
And the markets are in flow, so therefore you have to have a good eye and good nerves and stay on top of things.
Markets are on the flow, globally or just in this country or everywhere? That means they've come back up and they're moving forward.
Yes.
Yeah.
America is now on the top of 2008, so you would think, well, fantastic.
You're talking of Dow.
The Dow.
Dow
Yes.
Jones, yeah.
Dow Jones is back on top, which would seem like, well, fantastic. Everything's fixed. I knew it. It's going to be great. But it's very challenging because right now it's too good to be true, and you have to be vigilant. So I think it's something that's constantly in motion, and you have to stay on top. I'm having a fly. So you have to be on top of it, and you have to observe it, because then you will basically not miss a chance when the market continues to grow.
Mm-hmm. So you're saying Dow Jones is back on top after 3 years now, or 4 years, or 3 or 4 years, right? 2000.
Well, since summer 2008,
Yeah.
so it's almost 4 years.
Mm-hmm.
The cycles in investing, they go between 4 to 15 years.
Mm-hmm.
We're right now in, I think, a very artificial high. It might drop again. It looks almost too good to stay the way it is.
I'm not an expert. I have no idea.
Yeah.
Let me help you with that.
Yeah, right.
Let's do it. Hey, listen, before we move on into creative investments, no, tell us a bit, just profile yourself a bit for my audience. So you come into this country very recently.
Yes, I arrived February 3rd. Thanks to my wife, we came to Manila.
Yeah.
I lived previously in Switzerland, grew up in America. I worked as an investment advisor in America and in Switzerland.
Right. Yeah.
My profession basically, or the majority of the work I've done for 26 years was advising people how to stay on top of things, how to keep the money such that it can last over the retirement and hopefully also help the grandchildren and the family in a broader sense.
I must confess that before I start asking about where to invest your wealth, if there's any left, the Department of Foreign Affairs sponsors me to ask you this question. What is fun about being in the Philippines for you, Mr. Egger? What's more fun why is it more fun in the Philippines? Or what is fun for you?
I really appreciate being in the Philippines because the Philippine people are very positive. They smile. They're very thankful for any good thing happening. And I love the weather. I love the culture.
Yeah.
It's very close to my native family kind of upbringing.
Yeah.
So to me, the Philippines is a great place. It is a pity the Philippines is not more active internationally with marketing their beaches, their culture. This country.
We are going to get there. We are going to get there. We are doing
I'll try
it
to
right
help.
this time. You will help. Okay. So so people are more fun in the Philippines for you. People are the draw. Anything else? You've been to Davao. I hear you've been everywhere in this country in the last few weeks that you've been here.
Yes, almost. But of
Cebu,
course,
yeah.
I was in southern Philippines, of course, here in Manila.
Yeah.
Right now, we're looking for an apartment somewhere close to here in the Legazpi area, Makati. I really enjoy being here.
Okay, so let's take this to creative investing. No? Besides Dow, which represents several stocks and securities and bonds, all consolidated across the world, let's talk about investing for the ordinary citizen here in the Philippines, a businessman or an employee of a call center. How does he build up his wealth or build up his estate? And then, first, how does he build it up? What are your recommendations, you being the expert in this area? How does one make money or save money or build money? Grow it on trees, if you wish.
Yeah. Let me go one step back and explain how we do it in Switzerland.
Yep. That's the secret I want to know.
Yes,
how
exactly.
do you do it in how do you do it in Switzerland? Yeah.
The approach in Switzerland is basically you look at every single individual who wants to invest money. You listen to their story, you listen to their plan. And then you basically, like a tailor, you make an investment that suits this person, the family, and the situation the person's in. A very dominant philosophy that we apply is the life cycle. I mentioned to you the life cycle. When a bank meets or an investor meets an advisor, there is always a time that has passed and the future ahead. So the life cycle philosophy and concept basically takes into account that when you're a student, you don't really have much money, you finish school, you start your first job.
You start spending the money you make, yeah?
Not yet, but you also save a lot, you know, but then you buy a car, so there's a dip. Then you get married, there's another dip, because then you save again for a house, you build your personal environment in such a way that you feel comfortable and are ready for the future. That doesn't really necessitate...
Wait, I'd like to repeat that life cycle. So life cycle is from the age of 0 to say 21, schooling.
These are the stages. Let me,
okay,
so basically,
ahead,
you look, a bank or any investor has a life, right, and a certain age. And luckily, we don't know for how long we have to plan. So we basically try to plan long term.
Luckily or unluckily, we don't know.
I think it's good that phase.
I don't know when I'm going to die.
No, that's the good part, right? So therefore, we plan for a long life, a healthy life, a sound life, and also a sound investment. So the first time a person becomes interesting for a bank is when the first job occurs and you start saving.
Right.
Then the next phase where there's an accumulation of wealth again is when you're 45 to 50 in that age, because you usually have already married, you have a house, and you have your first or second car already. So
hopefully,
therefore, so therefore, on average, people have then time to accumulate the largest amount of money.
Right.
And this amount then has to be kind of like invested in a way that it lasts long term, meaning for retirement and beyond. So let's say the traditional model where somebody that's employed works till 65 or 60 whatever, the money then of course has to last a lot longer. So in these crucial 10 years from 45, let's say 20 years, 45 to 65, the money has to be invested in a way that will outlive the life of the investor.
So for example, here in the Philippines, where the currency is peso, and a lot of people are employed, and many of them are small business owners. There are no huge business owners, and there are, of course, CEOs and senior executives who make a sizable amount of money. Let's assume an individual, a father of a family of 4 or 5 here, makes 100,000 pesos a month, which is a sizable amount.
Yes.
No? A family of 5, and he's about the age of 40, and he makes that much. He's probably saved some. How does he build and save? Go look at those numbers and give me an idea. Okay.
So the first thing, if somebody has this kind of money and at that life, you want to get a life insurance. And the life insurance then basically something inexpensive to buy. It's a young life, and it is something that will pay out for a long time. So that's the first investment. And then the next one is with stocks and bonds.
Right.
And that's what I wanted to allude to. It's like a tailor. Depending on the life and the phase and the outlook of the person, you then introduce more and more investment opportunities. But always the first one is like a pillar, I would say a life insurance in that case, so that they can always fall back on this solid piece of investment.
For example, if someone's making 100,000 pesos a month here, a Filipino executive, or a Filipino manager, for example, how much life insurance should he buy, and what's the right time for him to buy it? Should he buy it at the age of 30 or at the age of 55? What's the right time for him to do?
Life insurance I will buy early.
Okay,
because life insurance is cheaper the younger you are.
But supposing he wasn't able to, or go ahead.
Then it's never too late, right?
It's never too late.
As soon
Might
as
as well
can.
hurry up.
So you take that first before you have, you always have to go to the doctor. There's always an assessment. So the younger you are, the easier and cheaper it is to buy life insurance. So let's say, there's again no perfect remedy, but usually they say 1/3 should be for living, 1/3 should be for saving.
Okay.
And so, you break it up. How much?
So 30,000 pesos should be invested into putting it aside. Yeah, so if he makes 100,000, 33,000 should be put aside for life insurance, for stocks, bonds,
yeah, and then as his income grows, then he can accordingly increase the investments, right?
So how about the real estate?
Real estate, of course. Listen, you were talking about the peso, and we're talking about the markets. The U.S. dollar has become, you know, a lot weaker.
And shamefully.
Shamefully. And unfortunately, that's just the case. Nobody, you know, it's a logical consequence from what happened.
Right.
So an investor here has had a lot of belief in a strong currency, and they invested in dollars. Right now, if they invest in dollars and the dollar continues to depreciate, the people lose money.
Right.
So my first advice is, you know, invest the money where you live. And once you have taken care of a life insurance and you have a couple of investments, be it for a house, then you can start to diversify and go internationally. But that also means that you already have a certain amount of money. So let's say somebody's very doubtful of the peso and says, oh, well, whatever you say, I want to have it in dollars. That's all right too. Because nowadays you can also kind of buy an insurance on the future what should I say? Course of the of the future devaluation possibly, or So let's say then you buy an option and you create like an insurance that your value stays the same, but that's costly and nobody really knows the future. Therefore, it's not an innovative way. I think an innovative way is to invest, that you never have to be sorry. You take the foundation first of an investment, so that there is always a plan for if something happens, and as you grow financially, then you diversify and get more things.
So let me get this right. So number one, you're saying that if a middle-aged employee, or 30-something or 40-something, makes 100,000 pesos in the Philippines, he's an employee or a businessman, he puts aside 30% of his income. He puts it aside. That means doesn't use it, doesn't live on it, doesn't burn it, right? And then he breaks it up into life insurance. He breaks it up into certain instruments depending on his age and his income generating potential. Yeah, he does that. And you mentioned that it is wise. It is important to invest in the land of your living, where you live. Reason being that perhaps the economy, the purchase power parity of that country, or your future is in that country. Is that the wisdom behind it?
Absolutely, that's correct. Because you see, you can only use the money if you have your hands on. If you have so much money that you can, like a squirrel, put it all over the world and bring some to Switzerland, we'll always be happy there. But of course, it also implies that you have to be very mobile. I have seen so many customers who brought a lot of money to Switzerland, and with the increasing age, they were not able to travel anymore, and it became a handicap because,
oh my God,
you know, this used to be, So therefore, you always have to plan ahead, and you should have a good advisor that will help you structure, like a tailor, your investments so that they're always a good fit, and you are always agile. You always can get to your money and can use it.
That makes really a lot of profound sense. So you're saying that if your wealth, if your estate expands, it is fine to invest it beyond your reach, beyond your acceptable reach. It's fine to do it. But as you age, it is smarter to bring it closer to yourself. Thus, you can access it, tap into it, lean on it, depend on it. Is that correct? Am I right?
That's a good summary, yes.
That's a good summary. I'm good at summarizing.
Absolutely.
Okay. So now, given the scenario, I hope the people who are watching this show, young urban professionals, business people out in the provinces in the Philippines, if you get it, that's how you must plan your life and invest it. Here's the this is a little bit global, and I'm going to ask you a little bit questions about how secretive the Swiss investments scenario is. No? Today, the last 10 years have been quite depressive for the whole world, not just America or Greece or Europe or Asia. What do you think is happening to this country here in the Philippines, from your perspective? How do we stand? How stable are we? What is the potential for growth and earning in this country, Philippines, from your perspective?
I think it's very high. I think the Philippine country is very rich on natural resources.
Yeah.
It could do tremendously well by just having a couple more tourists visit.
A couple more tourists, which is you and your wife, and your brother and his wife, yeah.
Yeah. And on the other hand, the country is in the Asian area. It is very close-knit to America. Therefore, the future for the Philippines I see very positive.
Yeah. How about the stability and risk levels and the administrations, the world's faith in the current administration? By the way, ladies and gentlemen, Nicolas Egger, born in the U.S., raised in Switzerland, has lived in the U.S., lived in all Asia, so he knows what he's talking about, and he's been a consultant to a lot of rich people out in Switzerland, so he knows what he's talking about. So going back, so how about stability in this?
That's a difficult question. I mean, there's the impeachment going on right now.
No, besides that, post that, yeah.
I think the stability is big. The people are, you know, they're not lazy. I've been in countries where people are very lazy and complacent. I find that the Philippines is a very innovative place.
Yeah.
They're very dynamic.
Yeah.
And to me, I mean, it's a pleasure to be here. So
thank you.
I see
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I see a great future for the Philippines. I think for investments as much as also the quality of living.
That's it?
Yep.
Ah, wait, this is a little bit of a challenge. So I had asked you about the current administration's stability and the future of Asia. Big picture now, going out, not just locally. Yeah.
The future picture of Asia. You know, if you look for growth as an investor, for instance, or even somebody that's looking for a job, there's three things to think about. You have America, which is coming back, but had a tremendous crisis. You have Europe that is now in a very stifling situation that could still be worse than even the American crisis. But let's hope not. And you have Asia. Asia is extremely prosperous because it consists of very many young people in society that are urban, that have a good education, especially here. You know, I mean, everybody speaks English fluently. So therefore, the potential is very big. China has been a very big motor, has been strong, and has really been giving the pace. And right now, China is stepping back. It has some inner political problems, and has also, of course, lost its major source of manufacturing and production, which is America. So therefore, the rest of the Asian market is growing very much. I would like to say that, for instance, you know, coffee producing. Let's use the Philippines and coffee. I'm not sure if you're aware of the story, but
totally not.
Before the Second World War and after, the Philippines was one of the major coffee producing nations.
I have no idea about that.
And now it's the opposite. Vietnam has taken over because they're communist and they have a different sort of approaching entrepreneurialism and have basically just said, okay, whoever lives here, make room, we're going to plant some coffee. So while this is a negative example, the Philippines is a positive example, and then there is also Korea, you know, with Hyundai as a one brand, for instance, Samsung, etc. So therefore, the Philippine nation is tied into Asia and is very much involved.
Potential.
And yes, look at all the Japanese investors who are coming to
all
buy.
Koreans,
who buy and believe in this country. So,
Mr. Egger, I have time for just two questions, no? And I hope these are good questions because I want my audiences to learn from you. You have some wisdom hidden in there. So the middle-aged employee, businessman, small business already has an idea on how to do it, no? Now here's my question, post the last 10 years of depression. Currently, and you said Dow Jones is kind of on the flow, and hopefully things are becoming rosier, if not as rosy as before. People who might have lost their shirt in the 2008 recession as such, or in the US, and of course it also affected globally. What are the two things they can do to recover? Were you affected or not? I don't know.
Everybody's been affected.
Okay, so how do you plan to recover?
I think that my advice in 2 minutes or whatever is stay vigilant. You always have to change and adapt your investments. If you have lost money, then right now is the best time to revise your investment allocation and strategy and be ready that there's a little bit of a dip coming still, but there will be growth. And if you completely set back and just wait for a recovery, you're too late. You will never make it up.
So don't let fear take hold of you.
That's correct. Stay vigilant and accept the losses. Everybody has had to, but don't stay away from the market, because that will ruin all your future growth.
Fantastic. That's one. Second, the second question is, and the last one. So so 2 points. Number one is, don't be afraid, stay vigilant. What's the second suggestion? Do you have another suggestion?
Trust your own instinct, and always have a good advisor.
Oh, keep on working. Keep on working as if you were 25 years old. Would that be a good idea?
That's a great idea.
Okay, now last question. You're going to make Philippines your home?
I would like to, yes.
Yeah, and you love the place and you love your wife. And what do you plan to do down the line? You're working with the BPO industry now. He's working with Aegis, by the way, and he just got himself hired there. What are your future plans should you make this home? How do you want to build a
I want to transition to the south, where I really like to live. Yeah. I will have my own business again. And right now, it's basically just the time to sit out the international crisis and use the chances and possibilities that the Philippines are offering.
Right.
That's
your strategy, to sit it out and build a business in the south of Philippines, which is either Cebu,
Bacolod, I like very much, or northern Mindanao.
What kind of business would you build? I understand you're also going to do some consulting work in terms of investment. Is that correct? Are you planning that?
Yes, I'll do consulting. I will write some speeches and hold presentations and give speeches. And of course, I think I will, as soon as the time is right, go back into an investment advisor function to help people really who have weathered all this storm to rebuild the future.
All right, Mr. Nicolas Egger, it's been a pleasure having you on the show. If you have any final words for your friends, your family across the world, or your new colleagues in Aegis, this is your moment to say bye-bye in whatever language you know. He knows 5 languages, by the way, so whatever language you want to do.
Well, in that case, I say goodbye in a couple of languages. Okay. Thank you very much for having me. Auf Wiedersehen. Au revoir. And in Italian, ci vediamo. Thank you very much.
Muchas gracias and mabuhay and salamat. And thank you for being on Expat Insights. Hope you have a happy and a fulfilling life in this country.
Thank you very much.
All right. So thank you very much for watching Expats. I hope you enjoyed tonight's show on creative expressions and creative investments with our guests, Buzz Walker Teach and Mr. Nicolas Egger. I'll see you next week. And our guest is a Belgian person who's teaching entrepreneurship down in the south. His name is Raf Lumen. I have no idea how to pronounce that. So see you. Until then, good night and mabuhay. I'm your host, Raju Mandhyan. This is Expat Insights.